What's in a vow? A lot, it seems. Firstly, though, what is a vow? Webster's 1828 dictionary says, a solemn promise made to God. And they went further to outline as relating to Christianity. A vow is a promise of something to be given or done hereafter. What comes to mind personally is this. A vow is a sacred utterance made by any believer to God without coercion. A sacred utterance. Let's hear what Deuteronomy chapter 23 verse 21 says. When thou shalt vow a vow unto the Lord thy God, thou shalt not slack to pay it, for the Lord thy God will surely require it of thee, and it would be sin in thee. Phrases that stand out in this verse. 1. You shall not slack to pay it. 2. God will surely require it of you. And 3. It will be sin in thee. Those are very powerful and fearful statements, but somehow I believe a lot of people do not know the depth of importance God places on a vow you made to Him. But why do people vow? Psalm 66 verse 14 says, which my lips have uttered and my mouth had spoken when I was in trouble. This was a solemn vow from David to God when he was being pursued by his enemies. And so, another example of a vow made in times of trouble can be found in the book of Genesis, chapter 28, verse 20 to 22. This was a vow made by Jacob as a result of what transpired between him and his older brother Esau in the previous chapter.
O Lord, deliver me from this trouble. Save me, and I will surely serve you.
Born-again Christians must be careful in times of extreme personal or family trials and troubles. This can come in forms like loss of a job at a time when it's most needed. Secondly, a time of terrible sickness or a false accusation or oppressions of the devil from every side at once. Understandably, this can make one emotional, and then vows could be made to God for help to overcome the troubles. It can be overwhelming. I know, I speak from experience. However, hear what Ecclesiastes chapter 5 verse 4 to 6 says. When thou vowest a vow unto God, defer not to pay it, for he hath no pleasure in fools. Pay that which thou hast vowed. Better is it that thou shouldest not vow, than thou shouldest vow and not pay. Suffer not thy mouth to cause thy flesh to sin, neither say thou before the angel that it was an error, wherefore should God be angry at thy voice and destroy the work of thy hands. According to Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 21 again. In essence, you vow, you do not delay to pay it. God will require it. We cannot toy with God. He's not a human being. Isaiah chapter 55, verse 8 to 9. God takes a vow seriously. We cannot say it was a mistake, a slip of the tongue, or an error. A vow is a holy utterance and must be paid to God after it's made, and it can lead to dangerous consequences. Let me show you what a vow is like after it's uttered to God. An eggshell is a covering or a container for the delicate yolk and albumen inside. However, when you crush or break it, everything inside spills out. You cannot fix the shell, you cannot put it back together, neither can you pour the yolk and the albumin back in. That's how a vow is. You cannot take it back. It becomes a sin. Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 21. So, When is a vow not a sin? Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 22. Simple, when you do not make any vow. Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 23 emphasizes that what you uttered was voluntary to God, a promise, so therefore you must fulfill it without fail. Unfulfilled vows can bring hindrances to prayers, giving the devil, who is the accuser of the brethren, a right over you. Imagine Satan accusing Job before God in Job chapter 1, verse 9, and that was a righteous man. How much more a person who makes a vow and forgets about it or decides not to do it at all? What's in a vow? Ecclesiastes chapter 10, verse 8 says, He that diggeth a pit shall fall into it, and whoso breaketh an hedge, a serpent shall bite him. When it comes to the matter of a vow you made to God, it can be likened to digging a pit for yourself. When you delay or do not pay that vow at all, we sin when we forget or do not pay our vows to God, which causes the hedge of protection to be broken around us, and whatever situation that arises is likened to a serpent's bite on that individual. What's in a vow? A rash vow, a careless utterance, not thinking carefully of what you are saying, and if it's something you can fulfill, or if what you are saying turns out a different way. A rash vow is dangerous. Judges chapter 11, verse 30. And Jephthah vowed a vow unto the Lord and said, If thou shalt without fail deliver the children of Ammon into my hands. 31. Then it shall be that whatsoever cometh forth of the doors of my house to meet me when I return in peace from the children of Ammon shall surely be the Lord's, and I will offer it for a burnt offering. If ordinary human beings do not joke with vows, how much more the creator of the whole earth? Jacob paid his vows to God, Genesis 35, verse 3. Hannah paid her vow to God, 1 Samuel chapter 1, verse 10 to 11, and verse 24 to 28. David paid his vow, Psalm 66, 13 to 14. God has done his part. Let us as believers who fear God run with obedience and do the needful. What's in a vow? Paying it in full to God, whom you promised it to.